everyone, this is Rob Deersball Animation Bliss, and welcome to another animated discussion series. So today's animated discussion will be talking about today all my thoughts on the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. So let's talk about it. So the episode starts off with Pomni having a nightmare about dropping down to the abyss below after she sees one of her fellow circus mates being abstracted in the first episode, and Pomni is afraid that she'll be abstracted too. But then the episode goes on with the circus crew going to this candy kingdom and trying to save the candy kingdom from both the fudge and from Gummy Goo and his goons as they try to steal maple syrup from the kingdom. But once Pomni and the others try to chase after Gummy Goo, Pomni and Gummy Goo ends up falling into the abyss down below, and it was then that Gummy Goo, the crocodile who was trying to steal the maple syrup from the kingdom, finds out that he's actually an NPC character, and he ends up having an identity crisis because of it. And so Pomni tries to connect with Gummy Goo and tries to help Gummy Goo out with his situation. So what are my thoughts about the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus? I really enjoyed this episode. So the first thing that I liked about this episode was how deep and dark this episode was. So even though the pilot episode had a lot of dark moments in it, and we get to discover more of the darker elements of the world that Pomni falls into in the pilot episode, we get to see even more darker moments pop up in this episode as we get to see how the NPC characters are being treated in this world. Like, we get to see how Gummy Goo, the crocodile, ends up having an identity crisis and ends up falling to despair because of the fact that he's an NPC character and he doesn't even remember what his actual life is like. And I really love how this episode tackled the issue about having an identity crisis and how it could affect a person. And we get to see that unfold in tragic detail with Gummy Goo's character as he's wondering about who he really is and what is his true purpose in life. And I just love how deep the episode went with Gummy Goo having an identity crisis, as is like the most memorable part of this episode for me. And I love the fact that Pomni becomes a nicer character in this episode as we get to see her trying to bond with Gummy Goo as she has similar problems with the world that she's in, as she's trying to make Gummy Goo feel better about himself. So yeah, that's probably the most memorable part of this episode for me. And then another thing that I liked about this episode were the characterizations of the other circus members. Like, we get to see in this episode how Jax, the rabbit character, becomes a bigger jerk in this episode than he was in the pilot episode. We get to see that he starts mistreating his circus mates a bit more in this episode, and we get to see that he prefers bloodshed a lot. So it has me really thinking about what Jax's character is going to be like in future episodes, and I wonder if he's going to turn out to be the villain in future episodes. So yeah, it has me really curious about where these circus characters are going to go to in the future episodes, and whether or not any of them are going to turn into the villains in future episodes. All aboard the Animated Social Media Express. Want to send some tweets my way? Then follow me on Twitter. Want to join our special animation community? Then join our Discord group, Animation Bliss. Want to see more updates on our YouTube videos? Then check out our Facebook group, Animation Bliss. Want to download on everything going on with this channel? Then check all of the above. And now, back to the video. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Like, this episode does a really good job at explaining more about the characters themselves and about the world that they live in. And I really love the moments about Gummy Goo going through an identity crisis as he's trying to figure out who he really is, because now that he's an NPC character, he has no idea who he really is, and he wonders what his purpose in life is all about. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of this episode a lot, and I can't wait to see more episodes from this show and see if Pomni will ever get away from this world, or will she start bonding with the other characters as the show goes on. So yeah, I'm really excited to see the third episode of the show pretty soon. And yeah, I'm really enjoying the show a lot. I just love how deep this show can get with the situation that Pomni finds herself in as she learns more about the world that she's suddenly thrown into. And I'm really hoping that Pomni finds a way to get out of that world, or at least start to bond more with her circus mates as the show goes on. So those are my thoughts on the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, and tell me in the comments down below, have you guys seen the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus? And if you had, did you like this episode, and did you hate this episode? Please let me know in the comments down below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Rob Deersball Animation Bliss, and I'll see you guys later. Hey animation fans, like this video? If you want to see more animated content from this channel, then please hit that big old animated subscribe button so that you can get more awesome content from this channel.